Like being an episode star or something.
Call to order Rankin City Council, Monday, September the 11th. Roll call. Mr. Scott. Here. Mr. Brower. Here. Mr. Blackwell. Here. Ms. Taylor. Here. Mr. Kirk. Here. Mr. Brower, would you lead us in our invocation and pledge, please?
Lord, thank you for allowing us to arrive here safely. Thank you for allowing the citizens of Rankin to put us in this position to trust. Please give us wisdom in all the decisions that we make for our city and our citizens. Please be with us as we go home. Give us safety. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me, before you sit, could we do just one more thing? Today is September the 11th, 22 years since the tragedy in our country. I think it's referred to now as Patriots Day. And so could we just stand and remember those who lost their lives and those who gave their lives on this day 22 years ago, remembering them in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Bring that up, Mayor. I remember exactly what I was doing. I was active duty at that time. And I remember, so many emotions and, feelings and all day. Questions. It's just, I'll never forget that day, ever.
There are certain days like that we will never forget, and we'll always remember exactly where we were. And that's one of those days. Hope we never have to experience it again. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor, I'd like to add, if we can, if first and second agree. I know we had the meeting with the homeowners at Picket Fences a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of under the impression that we were going to be moving forward with this. And so I'd like to add tonight, if it's okay with everybody, approval or denial, directing the city manager to move forward with the construction of the access road to Picket Fences. And we've got engineering plans, we've already moved forward, but I want to go ahead and put it on record that we're directing the city manager to move forward, city staff to move forward with expediency and go ahead and, because it's a process, and we told the residents that, we may have to acquire land, there'll be attorneys involved and engineers involved and bids involved, so it's kind of a vague motion, but if everybody's okay with that.
Basically moving the process, getting the process
Let's go
started.
ahead, and I'd like to see it on every agenda to some, or discussed in every
Progress
meeting.
report.
And updated every each meeting, yeah, I agree.
I'm in second.
Well, let's,
9-8, I think.
let's make that 9A.
Thank you for adding that.
Now, let's see if this sounds like what we need. Approval for city staff to move forward with plans for alternate picket fences entrance / exit. Is that, and you amend your motion and your second, Ms. Taylor? All right, that'll be item 9A. That being said, the agenda is as presented with the addition of item 9A under new business. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes,
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
All right, next is the approval of our council minutes. We have a council minutes from the meeting of August the 14th, 2023. I reviewed the minutes. I found them to be accurate. There were some grammatical corrections, which I will give to Ms. King. Did anyone else have any corrections they found necessary? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, August 14th minutes.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Mr. Kirkland to approve the August 14th, 2023 council minutes with the grammatical corrections. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Abstain due to absence.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
yes,
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Next is the approval of the council minutes of the meeting of August the 28th, 2023. I also found those to be an accurate record of the meeting. I did have some grammatical corrections, which I will give to Ms. King. Did anyone else have any changes or corrections they found necessary?
A correction, if you didn't catch it, Mayor, was on page 19. It was the top of the page, the approval of the 29th, we had the vote missing. When we removed it from table.
Okay, I see, yes.
I believe that was unanimous at that time.
Yes, it was, yes. Ms. King, you got that?
Page 19 of our agenda packet down there.
We had the motion and the second to remove the item from the table, but the vote was not reflected. Any other corrections or changes? Good catch. All right, if there are no other changes or corrections necessary, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the correction.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve the council minutes of the meeting of August 28, 2023 with the noted corrections. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
yes,
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right, now as we move into our agenda items, if you were here to speak in regards to an agenda item, at that time when the item comes up, you will have an opportunity to come and speak to that item. If you would, when you come to the podium and identify yourself, and you'll be able to speak in regards to the agenda item. That being said, now we'll move into, well, we first have, we should have an update, Mr. Lynn, from our Patriots Park Playground project, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure if they have shown up yet to give the update. I was assured that they would be here tonight to give the update. They were coming down from Carrollton. But I can let you all know what we do know. We had some movement on it. Last week, Mr. Osborne and Ms. Taylor and I met out there with them. I believe it was on Thursday last week. They're pouring the curb in. They've got the turf in. We laid out where they're going to put the swings from Veterans Park as they move them over, put the concrete and turf there. So they have been moving pretty rapidly out there in the last week or so now that they've gotten their materials. My understanding through communication with them is there's still a supply shortage area in what they're getting. They're getting about, I would probably say, a fifth of the playground turf and materials at a time. As they get them in, they're bringing them out. They should be hopefully finished up in the next week or two. I apologize. I was assured that they would be here tonight. I told them that they would even be first on the agenda since they had to drive back. I apologize. I'll get more information for you all.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Lynn in regards to the project update?
More discussion, really. I'm very disappointed because they're showing a very lot of professionalism when they say they're gonna be here, they should be here. So,
Well, it's, I guess, consistent with what we've seen from them is all I can say. So, it's a
Well,
shame.
I hope we give them a review,
absolutely.
so.
All right, anything else on that update?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay. All right, we'll now move into new business. Item 1, vote on an application filed by Maxwell Reddick and Associates requesting site plan approval and to construct a Churros Fresh Mix Restaurant. Property is located at 612 Town Park Loop. Parcel is owned by SAP Rankin LLC and is zoned general commercial. Parcel number R2640012. How are you, sir?
Bill, my name is Guy Higdon. I'm with Maxwell Reddick and Associates, and we're representing Brian Smith with the Churros Tex-Mex. And they're wanting to build a new Churros in Rincon. It is kind of like similar to a Moe's or another kind of Mexican taco bowl restaurant. It'll have 48 parking spaces. It will not have a typical drive-through, but a pickup window for people to use via apps and other kind of calls. They will have dining within the restaurant, and they will have some patio dining as well. I've been working closely with Terry with the planning development on helping move this forward. The city has been infinitely helpful in getting any issues addressed. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I did not see a sidewalk on the 21 side. Is there room for a sidewalk?
Well, how about, we will check, and if there's room, then we will work with the applicant to go ahead and put one
Are
in.
you willing to put a sidewalk in front of on the 21 side?
Do we have it in front of the bank right now, the Queensboro Bank? Is there a sidewalk there?
No.
There's none.
No, it's not.
That's why
We
I'm,
almost need connectivity, I mean,
Connectivity.
well, there's planning, so we want to
Yeah.
plan to go ahead and put it there, and then, so we can, I mean, we can finish it as we go, but I'd like when
at
they
least
build
his
it,
part addressed
his part
that.
addressed as the sidewalk,
And
correct?
that's what and I thought about that, but we talked about it a while back, when we started talking about the sidewalk. We need to start that funding projects and have that money put in that line item. And each vendors come in, then we move on with the process.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We can place a revision on the plans that the city can add a sidewalk in the future.
No, I want you guys to put the sidewalk there for your area, not the city, in front of your area.
Yeah, I can work with Terry to give us a red line on that.
Okay.
Also, I see your landscape plan, but I don't see, maybe I'm missing outdoor lighting.
We did submit an outdoor lighting plan as well. It may not be with this
It's just so
particular one.
tiny, you know? Okay, I just want to make sure you have adequate lighting.
And we also have PDFs as well that could be looked at on the computer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the lighting, excuse me.
No, the only other question I have is storm drainage.
Yes, sir.
I see lines on the map, what I think are storm drains.
Yes, sir.
But where is it connected to the side next to the creek bed?
It'll be connected to, there's a larger development detention pond, so
Yeah, I
it'll,
know, I just want to say if it was connected to the pipes that go to the.
yes, sir, it will be. So if you look at the bottom left corner, you'll see where there's kind of like a lighter gray pipe. That's that existing pipe that we're attaching
Okay,
it
that's
to.
what I couldn't discern out of the drawings we had.
Yes, sir.
And I think the lighting is all contained within that piece of property, is that right, Ms. Lewis?
That's correct.
I saw that in the report.
It looks like there's 5 lightings around the location, it looks like on this, if I'm looking at this correctly.
Any other questions for Mr. Higdon?
The only other comment I got is, on the landscaping portion, along Highway 21, you know, you got those big overhead power lines. I know the power lines are appear to be off the property line. But any of the trees, especially the oaks that can grow, 7,500 feet, should be placed well away from them, because Georgia Power they have the right to come through and just mow down those trees if they need to keep them off those power lines.
Yes,
So
sir.
just be aware of that, and any shrubbery or trees that you do place, say within 30 feet of the power lines, need to be, so they don't grow very tall.
Yes, sir.
25, 30 feet max. Some do, like a crepe myrtle can get up to 60 or 70 feet even, so
Yes, sir.
just be aware of that. That's my only comment.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from Mr. Higgins? Ms. Lewis, we saw your report, and I see that planning and zoning approved this project plan.
They did, they recommended approval unanimously.
Any other comments or information needed?
No, they had similar, I would just say similar, they were interested in lighting, drainage, landscaping as well.
But I think the project, and that was pretty good, except for some of the things, we'll have to address that later anyhow. It's got to come back to it. But I often wish to go ahead and prove it.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Ms. Taylor to approve the application filed by Maxwell Reddick and Associates, requesting a site plan approval to construct a Churros Fresh Mix restaurant. Property is located at 612 Town Park Loop. Any other question or discussion?
Mr. Scott, would you be willing
Yeah,
to
put the sidewalk.
put the contingent upon the approval of staff and
Yes,
adding the sidewalk?
I want you to add that.
Okay.
Same.
The sidewalk.
Same.
Okay.
I was gonna bring that
All right, any other question or discussion?
I'd like to add, thank you for investing in our city. Any variety we can get in our eating repertoire is definitely very welcome, so. thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Am I saying it right, Sir Churros?
So churros, yes, sir.
I'll make sure I get that right.
What's your headquarters, just curious?
Maxwell Reddick is based in Statesboro.
Oh, okay.
I think you already have a restaurant there, ain't it?
Yes, sir, and there is one in Savannah, I believe, as well.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is a vote on an application filed by Kern and Company LLC to approve a major subdivision to subdivide 477.58 acres parcel into 3 parcels based on ownership. Parcel is located off of South Highway 21, is zoned limited industrial. Parcel is owned by CTC Phase 1 Owner LP. Parcel number R2830001. How are you, Mr. Chairman?
Pretty good. Getting to the mayor and council. Chad Zittrow with Kern Company here tonight representing CTC Phase 1 and Phase 2 ownership. This is the 477 acres, 6 building layouts, been before you for a preliminary site plan and final site plan for 3 buildings. This is kind of a financing exercise that we're going through. We will come back with a formal or an additional subdivision plat in the future to subdivide everything with each individual building. So it'll be further subdivided than what you see tonight. We needed to get this done for, funding and everything moving forward, what's already taken place. And also with Drew Frederick with Trammell Crow CTC Phase 1 and 2.
Any questions from council for Mr. Zittrow?
So these are gonna be, like condominiums because they're for ownership, right? So not.
This is the warehouse.
Yeah, warehouse.
Correct. So the 3
They
sites.
had one large parcel and he's subdivided into 3 for financing.
Everything on buildings, correct, everything on buildings 3, 4, and 5, which was already approved and through final site plan approval, is contained within Phase 1A, which is 247 acres.
Okay,
And so we're splitting that out from the remainder of the acreage as part of the funding.
okay, I misunderstood. Okay.
Me too.
Any other questions from Mr. Zittrow?
So this is gonna be for warehouses?
Correct.
That's where
That's
the
the project, that's the project going in.
Oh, this is the
West side,
green.
that's the, we're going
Correct,
to project
yes.
in that we
It's
approve.
already there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
All right, anything from staff, Ms. Lewis, anything to add?
No, the only thing I would add, just for clarification, so the actual warehouse, phase one, buildings 3, 4, and 5 with the road, council looked at and approved at the August 14th meeting, and then this is just a follow-up, like they said, to divide it, just for financing purposes right now. You will see a further subdivision down the road.
Any other questions from council?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Mr. Scott to approve the application filed by Kern and Company LLC to approve a major subdivision to divide 477.58 acre parcel into 3 parcels based on ownership. Parcel is located off of Highway 21 South and is zoned limited industrial. Any other question or discussion?
Do we need to do anything different with our development agreement, Ray?
No, this part of it has been assigned of the development agreement, so the whole track is subject to development agreement.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if they subdivide it multiple times. Now, it will matter if they try to change ownership, so, but that's not happening, correct?
All right, any other questions? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Item number 3, new business, Ms. Cheryl Jackson, request to appear before council.
Yeah, I've got your pictures, Ms. Jackson, when you're talking.
Can't you sit down? You don't have to. Ms. Jackson, you want to sit in that front seat so you don't have to stand up?
No, I can talk.
Okay, yes,
I
ma'am.
can talk. I can stand for at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
I live at 105 Georgia Avenue. I've had a constant problem through the years since I've lived here since 1985 about my property. And I've had it surveyed twice because I've got a privacy fence across the back of my yard and on both sides. And the reason when we had it done twice was on the side, there was an elderly gentleman that lived next door at 10357, Glenda and Philip King lived there, you know, and they were our neighbors, 6 kids, great time. But the thing is, the gentleman that lived there before, his name is Mr. Bill Arnsdorf, I've got 2 pecan trees on the side of my driveway. And he used to say, you can't put a fence up there because that's my property. I put those trees there 40 years ago. So the pecan trees are 80 years old or whatever now. And anyway, we put a privacy fence, but we didn't want to upset him. So we didn't do it until after he died, because he'd keep moving the survey sticks. This is my property, these are my trees. So we had it surveyed again and had the city inspector would have come out and look, and he told us our plot was within, our fence was within our property line. Now, according to this, it's showing, no, I don't have property on the back where I've got that fence. I went up to the courthouse and got the plat. And we were told there was a 20-foot easement in back of our fence. And if you can bring up the pictures, Mr. Lynn, I have talked to Mr. Lynn about this, I've talked to Mr. Brower. They both have been very helpful. You can see this is from my backyard. All of that garbage is growing up over my fence. It's got poison ivy, sumac, you name it, my lawn man, because I can't do it anymore. I kept the yard up all these years till my husband died. There was a tree back there, they came down when we had the storm. But the tree wasn't on my property, but I didn't know whether it was the people behind me's property or the church's property, because they bought all of Philip and Glenda's property so they could park their cars. We were told we could not put concrete where the building is, that was, you could have to stay, your concrete had to be 10 feet away from your privacy fence. That's on both sides. And we did exactly what he told. He inspected it, he approved it. And now they're saying there's no access lane down there, that it has been closed. No one told us it was closed. They've allowed people to build a garage. Can you show that picture?
Just tell me when
See
it's.
that big pit, and there's a green shed. There are 3 sheds up against my property. You can see the limb had hit my fence, pushed my fence that's behind my shed. My fence is leaning against it. It's got holes in it now from the branches. I'm not worried about that. I was worried whose responsibility it is, because I've had this happen before, not with a tree, but with a power pole that's in, you can see in the picture there. I want to know if that's on city property. I want to know whether it's on either one of the owners of the property that is there, because that thing, the lines pulled the power head out of the roof of my house during a storm. I lost electricity for a week. I had to go live in Savannah for a week before the utility truck could come out and fix that transformer. All of this garbage, if you go back to the other one, you can see is growing. I mean, it grows right up onto the lines, my power lines that pulled out of my house. I want that stuff cleaned out. That's supposed to be an easement of 20 feet. Why isn't it? I went around this morning on 9th Street to see where that lane starts. And I took my measuring thing, and from Mr. Durden's backyard, his fence where Miss Ackerman used to live, to the next on the other side, there's no 20 feet. There's only a width of 8 feet. Who owns that property? If it's the city, then make them take the junk off the fence. And there is a lot of junk back there. I had the neighbor that owns that big tan building come to my house Saturday, and I have to say this up front. That gentleman was not ugly. He was not belligerent. He was very nice. He asked me if he could speak to my husband. I told him my husband died back in 2017. Very sorry. Went on to tell me his problems, why he hadn't been there in the last year and a half because of sickness with his daughter. And I said, well, I understand that, but this has got to go. He said, I'm not taking down, that's a garage, and that the city approved it. I said, if I couldn't and he says it's got a concrete floor and I'm not taking it down. I paid $12,000 to have that put up, and I had a permit. I said, well, do you have a copy of it? He said, well, that was lost when he and his wife had some problems and they moved. He's back with his wife or whatever, and I'm glad for him. But I said, I want that gone. I want those lines higher. I don't know what you can do with the utility company to get those things and get all that garbage off my fence. Yes, it's an old fence. It's been there. Well, and he came and said, it's grandfathered in. I said, if it's grandfathered in, when did the city contact me? Because I didn't know anything about it. And I would have come here and fought it right then. But he said, well, it's just grandfathered in. And I had a permit, and they inspected it, and everything was fine. I don't believe he had a permit for that building and that shed. That's on both of those against, my fence is like 100 feet long, okay? My house is like 90-something long. I didn't even put a swimming pool in my backyard because they said when you all came over to my house, not you, but whoever was on the council back then, they came to my backyard and said, that's a mess, because that's what it looked like back then too. And they had the prisoners come out and clear it. And I thought, oh, great. And that's when I saw, I don't pay attention. I have kept my blinds closed across my whole back of my house because I haven't wanted to deal with him. I mean, it was junk galore, and that's one of the reasons why I put the fence up.
Ms. Jackson, I know this issue has come up in some form before, and we've had issues about the condition of the lane as it been referred to, and where it is and whose property and so forth. And I think you mentioned that you had spoken with Mr. Lynn.
Yes.
Mr. Lynn, can you tell us what you have been able to determine at this point and what we might need to do?
Yes, sir. I've been out there and looked at it. I know Tim has been out there. David, our code enforcement guy, went out there, and from the best that any of us can tell, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of people that have their stuff in this easement. There's a lot of trees in the easement. There's only a certain point Public Works can even get to do the maintenance for the easement or alley or whatever you want to call it. I did confirm with him again that we do not have any utilities in this area, so there may be some consideration for the possible, I don't want to call it abandonment, but being able to work with the property owners on Savannah and Carolina to see about, possibly looking at just, working on a deed conveyance to them.
And we have done that in the past. I think people on council have remembered that some of the lanes in the city that are not utilized, and we have deeded that to the adjoining property owners. And if that is a proper answer to this problem, I mean, do you understand that, Ms. Jackson, that could be an option, and would that be an option that would be available to you?
I don't believe anybody has a deed to the property that's behind my fence. And that's why I want a survey, I want records looked at. If there was a permit, it would be my understanding the permit was for the house where he built a second story. I had no problem with that, keep it on your property. But don't put your stuff on the property that's in that lane, which is at those 3 sheds. That was city 20-foot lane.
Okay, so,
And the gentleman said, well, I'm gonna fight that. He says, I don't mind cleaning. He says, that's been that way for a year and a half. That's been like that for 4 or 5 years. Because that's when Mr. Reese Brower had come over before to help me get this straightened out. And they did get the prisoners back there to cut that down. But never, when I call about the thing, oh, we'll get back with you. I want whatever you determine, talking about your, the situation, that you provide it to me in the next meeting you have in writing. In writing. I want things in writing. The end of the lane on Mr. Durden's side, I would all through that, where that lane starts, and the huge oak trees that are there, that the limbs are just hanging over the power lines that should be cut, because they're gonna fall on his property too, and his roof. And he's already had to have his roof replaced once. He shouldn't have to replace it again, and I shouldn't have to replace a power head in my house. That lane needs to be cleared. And he said, well, I'll fight you on it. I said, well, I'll fight you too. I said, what you believe is what you believe, and what I believe is what I believe.
Excuse me, how you doing today? I don't think there's easements where has been released on that property, because I know in the last 20-some years, the only easement we released is on the west side of the railroad track. Now, I may have missed something somewhere. If we haven't, we can find them, but those, until we release those easements, it's our responsibility. And so I do not remember ever releasing any property on that side, on the east side of the railroad track. All was done on the west side. And we talked about it before. And the land's ours until we get deeds in hand. We're responsible. Now, when it comes to the power lines, we may have a different situation because it's the power company. They've got to deal with that. But those lanes are still the city.
Tim, do they have any value or use to the city if we determine that there's no infrastructure there?
Only utilities back there is the gas and the power. The city's utilities are out on Georgia Avenue.
So it has no value or use to us.
To us.
But I guess to get to the point where if we wanted to deed it to the property owners, we really, I think where you were going, Mr. Scott, is that we need to clean it up first before we do all that.
And not only that, is one property owner shouldn't get the 20 foot of the easement. It should be split between the property on Georgia Avenue and on
In the way we,
That's what we did. That's what we did on the west side.
Each side, that's the way it goes. So I don't know specifically about this neighbor that you're referring to and how far over he is.
Well,
That may be a whole
The one with
different
the green
story.
shed is a renter.
Yeah.
I was told the one that has the big shed that's on the back of my property, that he bought that property. And he came over to my house. And he, like I said, he was not belligerent, he wasn't
Yeah.
nasty or anything. He was very nice. But I told him, I said, and he said, my husband gave him permission. And I can tell you right now, my husband never gave that man permission to put a concrete pad next to our thing.
Tim, I guess we could
Done?
clean the lane up to some extent, but now when you get into the power lines, that's a whole,
We can't even get to the lane. The lane's fenced off.
okay.
There's fences on both sides of that lane.
And there's numerous buildings down that lane that are all into, they're into that easement. That's one of our.
I remember that from the other issue.
You want
And you might want to call
And you know, we can have it fenced off, but the land, whoever fenced it off is illegal. So we have the right to go in. We also can find out staff can find out who owns any additional fire property out there. And we can move forward on getting the lane cleaned out, but my concern is, that's our lane. And even if we want to get rid of it, which I agree with getting rid of, because that's what we did on the west side. Let's do the same thing here, but let's clean it up.
We'll start there, and then we'll start seeing what's there and bring a report back to you guys for the next meeting.
I think it's important that the beginning of what Mr. Scott said is, if we can't get to the lane, we need to get to the lane to clean up the lane. And if that means that we need to tear down a fence because it's in our lane, then we need to tear down a fence to get to
We
it.
need to, we
Correct.
need to have a
Right. I don't
survey
wanna
before we
destroy
go
it.
to tearing any fences
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
I
That's
don't,
good.
I don't know.
Let's say that.
Can I say something?
Sure, Kelly
I'm
wants to say
Kelly.
something.
It's not the fence, it's literally the shed that is built, it's blocking the lane completely. You can look down the lane, and there's a shed almost attached to Miss Jackson's back fence. It's been blocked off. you can see, can you show the picture, the other one, of the yellow shed against the fence?
There should be another picture.
Which one is it on here? This might help them a little better to.
It's a picture of where the stuff is growing on the side of the fence on
Right
the
here.
side.
That's it. As far as that.
It's the picture, go to the picture of the yellow shed and her fence.
Yes, the small one.
No, the big one.
With the one they showed earlier.
That
All
one.
right, do you see? That is, no, that one. That is his shed. That literally is almost this far from her fence. There is no lane there.
There is no
There's
lane.
none.
And that's the lane, that should be.
Yes,
And
there
that's the
should
one
be
he
a
said
lane
he got a
there.
permit from.
So, because I don't think, I don't know if you understood the fact that that is, that's butt up to her privacy fence, across the lane.
So I guess we need to first of all identify the property lines, determine what is exactly is our easement. I'm laying this out for you guys to, let's see how we need to go about correcting this. And it's gonna take several of us, including our attorney, to make these determinations. But can we determine a course of action that will address this issue once and for all? If we can do away with that lane and deed it to the property owners, that's fine.
Can you put
But
me
in
on the agenda
process,
for the
we
next
have
city
to
meeting?
Do some cleaning up.
And we can't, yes ma'am, the way surveyors are going, it may take a month to get the survey done before we can actually. do
That's
it.
when I want to know
Yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
going to be done.
Well,
Can you
could-
contact me and
What I'd like to
Mr.
ask Mr. Lynn
Durden?
to do is to just maybe weekly, just give Ms. Jackson a call.
She's a great texter, she communicates.
Or,
very
and
fast.
however you want to do it. But weekly, just give Ms. Jackson an update on where we are so she knows we're in the process, we're trying to get it done. Ms. Jackson, is that reasonable? I mean.
Yes,
It-
Mr.
it's-
Brower or Mr. Lynn will keep me informed of what is going on with the council and this problem. I have one other concern that I would like to bring to you, and that's the train in front of my house. I'd like to know also about where's the city property start? Is it at the street or over on the other side where the prisoners mow? Because I and Kelly have kept that clean and mowed for years. And after I couldn't do it anymore, now they're starting, the prisoners are mowing on that side. But I was told the front of my house, I could not put the concrete driveway down to the street because of the sewage lines and other things that you have in the front, that property is yours, that's city property. So my husband and I had no problem with that. But there's a huge oak tree at the corner of my property. Not my property, your property or CSX property. If a storm comes through, it would probably cost, and that thing fell, it would probably cost $5,000 just to have it cut up and hauled away. I've spent over $1,000 on that tree alone, just cutting the limbs so the garbage can get through to my garbage cans.
Mr. Bowles, do you, I mean, I know this is all, catching you, but do you know anything about what she's referring to there?
Along Georgia Avenue, they are some humongous oak trees. I mean, I'd have to look at it and see if it's on city right away or,
CSX?
yeah.
Because CSX put a sign up in my yard, in the front, down by the street, for a railroad crossing sign. But on CSX sign, across the street, every railroad sign is on their property over there. And now they've stuck one on your property in front of my house. Big yellow ugly thing. Why were they allowed to put it on city property? It should be over on the other side. I like that
You
to
have
be
to,
looked
you have to
into.
put those signs in the direction of travel. That's the only street that's on your side of the street.
They
And
could put it on the other
railroad.
side. People still see it, have it face when they're coming
They can
down.
still see it, but by law, they have to put it in the direction of travel. They can't put it over on the opposite side of the street and expect people to abide by it. And that's the only reason it's on that side.
Mr. Bowles, could you look at the tree I went by there today? And it is,
Big.
it's a big, beautiful live oak tree, but it is hanging over the street. I mean, you
Over.
come by in a standard sized truck, you're gonna scratch the roof. So I don't know if we need to get somebody contracted out or if we have the equipment to go trim that up, because the canopy is really encroaching upon the road. So if we could,
I can get our tree surgeon to look at it.
yeah.
I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Jackson, have a good night.
We've got
We'll
two
try to
trees.
keep you posted, Mr.
We got
Jackson.
2 trees in that lane on down the street at 7th Street that we have to take down. It's falling.
I think maybe,
And it's an open lane too.
I think when you look at overhanging trees, there's a lot around the city. So if you do that for this, you may need to survey, see where else it may need to. I know there's some on Middle Ground Road that are,
Well, we can wait till we go to put the Christmas lights up when we rent the lift.
Yeah.
And we can do it.
good.
That's satisfactory.
All right, good. All right. Moving to item 4, new business. Effingham Heroes Incorporated requests the use of Freedom Park to hold a Back to the Badge rally.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We submitted this application in advance this year. We were on the ball. But this is in conjunction with National First Responders Day, which is October 28th. That's the day Georgia plays Florida, so I know we wouldn't get any attendance that night. So we do it on the Sunday night following at 7 p.m. And this is an event where we invite all of the first responders, and they're given various prizes and awards and all, just a ceremony that goes through each of their branches and how much we appreciate them. And just to give you an update on what Effingham Heroes has been doing too. I know the last time we were here, we gave you a summary of things that we've done, but we took on a new project that we have a list of 439 first responders in the county of Effingham. That includes everyone with all law enforcement, the prisons, EMS, Lifestar. We still don't have Georgia State Patrol. They haven't gotten us their info, but with that, we have 439. And we started sending out individual birthday cards to each of them. In the month of September, we sent out 43. And we've partnered with some great restaurants that we have in this area, and everyone is getting a free meal in their birthday card. So we're really happy with that. But it was I don't want anybody to be missed, so I have to stay tense that we're gonna keep up with all these resident employees, but just give you an update on what we're doing.
You heard that, Lieutenant Thompson, don't let them miss your birthday.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right. I think we've done this before, I think it would be appropriate to approve it and waive all associated fees.
I'll make a
I'll make
motion,
that.
make a motion to approve with waive the fees.
Second.
Thank you. This is our
Motion
third
by-
year to do it. This is our third year to do it.
Yep. I have a motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Mr. Scott to approve request for the use of Freedom Park to hold a Back the Badge rally by Effingham Heroes and to waive all associated fees. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hope you have a great event.
Thank you.
Item number 5, vote on acceptance of an annexation application for a .63 acre parcel located at 519 South Highway 21. Property is owned by Bank of Newington, parcel number 0465J001A00.
Yes, sir, this is just the acceptance of the application so that we can start the annexation process.
Okay.
So we're just starting the annexation process?
Yes, sir, this is just to accept the application so that we can then provide the notice to the county and move forward. And Ms. Lewis can correct me if I'm wrong there. The items 6 and 7, or 5 and 6 on your agenda will be combined, and the intention is to be a bank when that is done and brought into the city.
Motion for approval.
Second. Motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Brower to approve the acceptance of an annexation application for a .63 acre parcel located at 5919 South Highway 21, property owned by Bank of Newington. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Item number 6 is the vote on acceptance of an annexation application for a .39 acre parcel located at 111 Lewis Drive. Property is owned by Bank of Newington, and I think these are adjoining properties.
Yes, sir, that's
And
correct.
so the same applies to this.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Ms. Taylor to approve acceptance of an annexation application for a .39 acre parcel located at 111 Lewis Drive. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 7 is a vote on a second reading of an ordinance to consider proposed amendments to the City of Rankin ordinances, specifically sections 90-94, perimeter fence and wall standards and requirements. This is our second reading. Ms. Lewis, anything new or anything you need to add?
Not at all?
Any questions from staff in regards to this?
May I speak as to this?
Certainly. Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't able to be here I'm Melissa Calhoun. I wasn't able to be here on the 18th because I had surgery that day. I looked at, Miss Lewis was kind enough to send me what you all had proposed. Seems to be a lot of things missing. One is enforcement. There's no deadlines on this at all. So we leave a fence up that, isn't in compliance. When is it going to be enforced? The other is it going to be grandfathered in the fences right now that are not in compliance? And I'm specifically referring to the infamous pallet fence down on 9th Street.
That's falling down.
It's falling down.
Yeah.
And the house catty corner to it probably sold for at least 40,000 less than what it should have been listed for because of that fence. It is a direct violation, and I've asked about it before. It exceeds the frontage. She also has taken out her driveway, and very specifically, the ordinances require you to have a driveway. Instead, they're pulling through their front yard. So I don't see how that fence ever got passed for the permit. It doesn't make one bit of sense. And if that's grandfathered in, it's gonna affect every single one of us down in that subdivision. And we got very specific now example of how it's affected us. That house that's up for sale, I think it's Wendell and Ninth,
Yeah.
easily, that price shouldn't have been that way. That was a very well-maintained house. I think it was like 2,300 square feet. It sold for what a 1,300 square foot house should have sold for. I mean, we are being directly affected by this, and nothing has been done about this pallet fence.
Do we have a permit for that property?
Yes, sir, we do.
It was somehow approved, but and if you look at it, here's the edge of the fence, or here's the edge of the house, fence protrudes out this way, which means it comes past the front of the house.
We drove by and looked at it.
And it took out the driveway, which you're not allowed to do.
Just, well, when she.
I live in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's fine, no, you're welcome to speak.
Okay.
I was just making sure she was.
No, share together.
Okay, so electricity got knocked out recently. I don't know if y'all remember. She's in the easement, Amy Aver. The easement that's supposed to be, like, you're supposed to be, the truck's supposed to be able to back up into that area, and her fence is in the way now.
Yeah.
So it took them, I think, an extra 6-7 hours to get,
Yeah.
to get back
And
there.
we spoke to the gentleman who came out, the lineman, or, yes, and he said, we can't get to it. And I know she's moved a bunch of sheds out of there, but if you look, there's trash galore in that back.
She's got 6 sheds.
No, I think some of them moved out.
There's 6
They're
sheds.
still,
Oh, they do it by square foot.
Oh, I understand
which is
how it
another
works.
thing that needs to be addressed, because
And there's rumors that there's one of them that is big enough to make a small home, and
that's her intent, is what.
her intent is to put her mother in there.
So let's start with the fence. So if you recall, when we did this, Ms. Lewis, I was asking about how we are gonna handle the fences that are already in place. I know that there's nothing in there. Raymond, can we put something in there for fences that don't meet the new updated standards? I know we briefly talked about it, about setting not necessarily grandfathering them all, but giving them time to bring them up to the standard of what our new ordinance is. Is that something that we can do?
We'll have to research that particular issue. If there was a permit that was issued and they built it in compliance with the ordinance at that particular time, then we're going to go back and look to determine whether or not you can force those entities or person to be able to change it.
But
So that's the question.
But once we change the ordinance to an updated standard, you're saying we still can't, even though we issued a permit, we still can't say, okay, you have a certain amount of time to bring it up to standard? You can't say that?
Well, and even, it was supposed to be common wood. A pallet is not common
No,
wood.
it's actually trash.
Yeah.
It's refuge.
No,
It's something you bring to the dump.
Well, but it's already permitted, so,
I know, it's ridiculous.
but we've got to deal with that.
Is the fence such as it is it in disrepair?
Yes.
Yes, it's falling down.
Yes.
I mean, could we not maybe do a code enforcement
That's what,
on
John
that?
and I were both just talking about.
Well, if there's something wrong with the fence, if it's in the easement or if it's in disrepair, at that point when they go back to repair it or whatever they're gonna do to it, then they will be governed by these new standards if we can get them in place.
See, because the fence is not like secured into the ground. It's not like cemented in. It's just poles that go into the ground through the pallet.
And the
So it's
pallet's
technically
falling
not secured into the ground, which I think that would be illegal, especially when we have a hurricane. I mean,
Well, she used those metal
yeah,
ones that you do a
but
temporary.
I would think you would have to have
fence.
it cemented in. That's just me, but that should be in an ordinance, that it should be cemented
When was
in.
this permit? Do we know?
She said when? Probably 4 months ago.
It's longer than that.
Something like that.
The
I
pallet
think.
fence?
It's
Yeah, it
longer
wasn't
than
very
that.
long ago.
It's been longer than that.
It's been
but
longer
it's-
than that.
The case law says that you can have it can be grandfathered in only if it was permitted before. The problem is it should have never been permitted. I don't understand how there's no uniformity as far as enforcement goes.
Because the ordinance were very vague.
Well,
That's what I
very,
was going
very
to add.
Vague.
Right, and that's why we're here today, is because the ordinance was very vague, and it needed to be updated. It hadn't been updated since 2010, and so that's why we drafted the ordinance to get it, to not just deal with that fence that we've got complaints about, but others as well, just to make sure that we had a good ordinance in place. We can go out and do a code enforcement action, check it for disrepair. We can double check the location. I know that she had to move it at least once before we could even
I think she moved it
do
back.
the permit. So we can see if it was moved back out of compliance.
Ms.
It's still-
Calhoun, let me ask you too, and I know we're talking about this particular
Correct.
issue, but that aside, this that we're being presented here tonight, is there issues with it?
Not as far as it goes, it just doesn't go far enough to say, you've got so many days to, become compliant, rather than just let it languish. This has been languishing for months, and now it's directly affecting
Okay, but now
our
you're
neighbors.
referring to this particular incident, though. What I'm saying is what we have here tonight maybe does not address the concern you have with that fence. We need to come at it from a different approach, but what we have here tonight to approve, is there an issue with it?
Not as it is,
Okay.
but it needs to have more enforcement to it, timelines, and what is going to be specifically required of the homeowners.
What I'm hearing-
Otherwise, you all are going to be sued for
What I'm-
everything being so
What
big.
I'm hearing is that for the fences that are currently permitted and up, what you're asking is, how are we going to enforce the new standard? And I think that's what I'm trying to ask you, the city attorney, is how do we get that done?
Well, first of all, they're building in compliance,
Okay,
with the ordinance, and it was permitted.
okay.
So I don't think there is anything that you can do to those fences, because now, if they weren't built in compliance with the ordinance or with the permitting, then that's a different story, okay? If they weren't built where they were supposed to be built, that's a different story. And if any of those things occur where it has to be taken down, moved, or whatever, then they would, if we get this passed, and we have to allow 10 days in order for it to take effect, then they would have to abide by the new ordinance, because they would have to rebuild the fence. Do you understand that?
Right, so in this instance,
Now,
if someone.
if you want to go that route, there's something I need to look at, okay, to determine whether or not you can, there's possibly something that we can do. But it may end up being a taking on the part of the city. And you'd have to pay for the fence, okay? Whatever that value would be. Sounds like there's not much value in the fence to begin with.
No, it's
But-
essentially a bond.
But one of the main things we need to look at when we go back there, utility. If it's blocking access to utility,
Yes,
which
it
is
is.
power, gas, water, sewer lines, anything underground, that can change things right then.
Yep.
But then, what Raymond is saying, the permit is already in place. And so if it's not something that will direct a violation, that person, had that right, because they approved it. But I think, I wrote out and looked at it, but the conversation you all had about power, utility, and power company getting to it, that can be a big issue.
But there's got to be some kind of junction between all the ordinances. And when she blocked her driveway with that fence, and it protrudes way past the front of her house, then I don't understand how in the world it was allowed in the first place. In fact, I was surprised that it was permitted.
What I'm hearing here is, let me see if I got this right. The ordinance that's being presented to us tonight, and face value, you are okay with it. You feel like it needs more teeth, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
And we can approve this tonight and come back and amend it again if there are other options.
Well, your
depending on-
enforcement is our general enforcement ordinance. It's $1,000 penalty and up to 6 months in jail. And it covers every ordinance that we have unless there's a specific specific language within the particular ordinance that says what punishment would be. So if anybody violates any of the zoning or development codes, we fall back to our general punishment ordinance. I think it's 1-11 or something. It's something like that. But, so there is teeth to handle violations. But the biggest issue with this is don't issue the building permit. Don't issue the permit if they're not in compliance with what on their plan with what they're doing here.
All right, so.
Going forward.
Staff, I think, I'm hearing that you can address this from various angles, whether it be an encroachment on an easement or utilities, if it's unsightly and a code enforcement issue. I mean, there are some ways that we can address this particular one, I think. Is that?
Yes, we can do that. I'll go out with David so that we can make sure that we're, excuse me, so that we can make sure that we're covering all the issues that were brought up. We'll take some pictures, we'll come up with a course of action, and we'll report back at the next council meeting as well.
Okay.
And also too, I think you said that they had moved the fence?
I think they moved it.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's further in front of the house than it was. Because she put it up, city made her move it. She moved it, then it looks like it got moved again. Because it looks like it's further, because the house is this way. It's not this way. So I know the line goes even with the house, right? It looks like it got moved.
And we can check that based on the drawing and the survey as well.
So the only thing I can recommend is you need to get something in place before you do anything. And it needs to become legally effective prior to you doing anything. So if you pass this tonight, we wait the 10 days, which is required by law. And then after that, then you can move forward with whatever it is that you want to do.
No, but I like the design that's been put in there. It's very specific. So people can't say, well, I didn't understand what I was reading. When you got pictures, it's very specific, which helps quite a bit. Because somebody's gonna try and wiggle around the whole thing. And if it didn't affect us, but it most certainly has. That house selling as low as it did, and it is, like I said, it is a almost catty corner to it. And I was shocked by how much that house sold for and how much it was listed.
What we've talked about here, does that address your concerns if we can do what we can?
Right, and then with the enforcement being added, so it just doesn't sit out there. This has been sitting out there since who knows when. I mean, the police have been called because there's been issues between the neighbors about it. It used to be very quiet back there, but.
I guess the old saying that fences make good neighbors doesn't apply here?
No. Because I refuse to call that a fence. That's like that's a Pinterest project is what it is, gone wrong, so.
Can we have, I'd like to make a motion to approve, but I'd also like to add in the minutes that we have an update at the next meeting, a specific update as to where, because it'll be over 10 days from now, where we're at and what our plan of action is going to be.
And I second that.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, have a motion by Mr. Brower, second by Mr. Kirkland, to approve second reading of an ordinance to consider proposed amendments to the City of Rankin ordinances, specifically section 90-94, perimeter fence and wall standards and requirements, with an update from staff in regards to specific fence issues and this ordinance at the next meeting. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 8 is approved bids for the sale of Brush 1 and Engines 8 to Diesel Power Solutions for the amount of $15,000.
Yes, sir. Right before the meeting, Chief Reed had to run out for a family emergency. His daughter blew a tire about an hour outside. Told him I would be happy to handle this item for him. This item before you all tonight, if you remember, you all approved the surplus of Brush 1 and Engine 8. So those were put out to bid, and there were minimum set on those. So we did get bids back from two entities, Palmetto Fire Apparatus and Diesel Power Solutions. Diesel Power Solutions met the minimum thresholds for those bids in the amount of $15,000. That is what is before you all tonight to approve the bid to Diesel Power Solutions for them to purchase those items from the city in the amount of $15,000.
Any questions for Mr. Lamb?
I make the motion we approve.
Second. We have a motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve the sale and the bid for the sale of Brush 1 and Engine 8 to Diesel Power Solutions in the amount of $15,000. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 9, new business, request approval to pay Pro Pump Solutions Incorporated, and I think that new amount, give it to me, Tim, is $33.
Correction, it's $30,700 and, there's no need in expediting it for that extra $3,000.
I'm putting that up on the screen so that you all can see that. So
What happened during the hurricane, a dresser lift station, both pumps went out. Which one of them was on its last leg anyway, I was getting ready to replace. But the other one went out during the middle of the night. So we was out there till 2 o'clock in the morning, got the bypass pump running. Got everything, evaded a sewer spill, so keep EPD out of it. So I went back and got them running. They barely running now, but we still have the bypass pump on backup standby.
What I'm seeing here is $33,000.
That's the total price including the expedition cost.
Tim, it's up there if you want to talk about it. That red line number, Mayor?
Yeah, 3,6640.
And just take that off, it leaves about 30,700.
Okay, so
You just take out 33,730.40 and subtract 3,066.40.
Should leave right at 30,700.
you got that, Mr. Lamb?
Yes, sir. I believe it's $30,663.60 would be the purchase price.
663.60.
Yes, sir.
You sure?
Let me use my calculator.
I make a motion we approve.
I'm wrong. It's 664. Good job, Tim.
664, 60.
Just 664, you gotta apologize. $30,664.
We can spend it faster than we can calculate it.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Mr. Kirkland to approve Pay Pro Pump Solutions Incorporated, $30,664 for repairs on the Dressler Road lift station, line item number 506-4325, 541401. Any other question or discussion?
Excuse me, sir, that's purchase of 2 pumps, not repairs.
Okay? All right, so the motion would be to approve purchase two pumps.
Yes. The reason the price had changed is because whenever we originally got the quotes, we quoted it for 10 horsepower pumps, and what that actually required in there is 15 horse. So it's two 15 horsepower pumps.
All right, so let me read this, and I need an amendment on the motions in the seconds, but so it's a request to purchase two pumps in the amount of $30,664 from Pro Pump Solutions Incorporated for the Dressler Road lift station.
Correct.
Okay,
And I amend my motion.
Same for my second.
all right, second it's amended. Any other question or discussion? And you're making this a lot more difficult than it needs to be. So calculate.
That one right there trying to go paperless.
All right,
If you let it on paper, it'd been wrong.
All right, Mr. Scott?
Yeah.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Tim. Item number 9A is approval for city staff to move forward with plans for alternate picket fences, entrance, exit. Mr. Brower, anything further you want
That's right. I'd like to make that motion, and, once again, we could have an update at the next meeting. I know we got 3 or 4 updates, maybe 5. I think these are important, especially this one. I mean, this has been going on with staff's been working diligently, and again, I wanted to add that because it was my understanding that we would be moving forward the first meeting in September, and so. I'd like to see us push some dirt on that.
to? Sure. I'd like to ask, is there anything new since we last discussed or met?
No, sir, the only thing I would ask is just to clarify, you all do want to move forward with the McCall Road option, correct?
Well, I think we were waiting on options to be presented to us, so that was my understanding. is that we had-
Option, see what option we had out
Yeah,
there.
and then make some determination about
The best
how to move forward.
Mayor and Council, if, I'd recommend you go for the McCall Road option because you try to go either way on that railroad, along that railroad track. If you have a chemical spill anywhere near that crossing, you're not gonna get that emergency access road that
Yeah,
way.
they'll close it all 500,000 feet, whatever they need.
Yeah, well, and I think when we discussed it, I think that was presented as the best option. I just didn't want to assume that that was what we were going to do. I want to make sure that that is the best option, so.
Is that,
And that's
Lynn, is that what you?
what we wanted, that's what I intended to bring to you all at the next meeting, and that, when we went to the picket fences HOA meeting, that was the big drawing that EMC presented was for the option that Tim just talked about. Yes, sir.
Would it be appropriate to amend my motion and add, I mean, if there are any more options out there that we see, I think we just got some pretty strong recommendations from staff, and that's the way we need to go.
I think that's gonna be it, because if we start dealing back those creeks, you're talking about
More money,
more,
bridges.
I mean, up to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So I guess
And then you don't
what
have
you're
no
saying
guarantee
is to make a
that
motion
it'll
to
get washed
move
out.
forward specifically with the McCall Road option.
Yes, sir, I'd like to give my motion to.
And I'll amend my
reflect that.
second. to that.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Brower, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve for city staff to move forward with plans for alternate picket fences, entrance, exit. That plan being the McCall Road option, and that we would have an update at our next council meeting. Does that sound right, Mr. Brower? Yes. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right, we are to administrative reports now. And then Mr. Lynn?
Yes, sir. Just a couple items tonight. just remind everyone here, Facebook, you guys, that we did extend early voting through the end of the business day on Friday this week before the special election. With the special election being on Tuesday, September 19th, voting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Heinley Building here in Lincoln. And I got feedback from most of you guys regarding the budget planning workshops with you guys for the evening of Friday the 13th in October, as well as the day of Saturday, October the 14th. So I've let staff, department heads know to be on standby, and we'll get a firm schedule for them to be in front of you guys to go through their budget that they worked out with Liz and I up to that point, as well as anything else you guys would like to discuss. We'll provide more information on that as we go forward to that date. Other than that, the chamber has reached out. They are having a leadership retreat October 5th. I believe it's October 5th and 6th in Jekyll. If any of you guys are interested in going to that, let Dulcie or I know, and we can get you guys the information that you need. I believe it is at the King and Prince down in Jekyll on those days. And other than that, I don't have anything else.
Any questions from Mr. Lynn?
Oh, I do request have hopefully a brief executive session to discuss personnel. Said the word brief, so I changed it.
All right, Police Department, Lieutenant Thompson, anything to report?
No, sir. We have a report, but I'm available for questions if council has any.
Any questions for Lieutenant Thompson? All right, Fire, Chief Reed is not here. Building and Zoning, Ms. Lewis.
No report.
Any questions from Ms. Lewis? All right, Recreation, Mr. Osborne.
I don't have anything unless you have any questions for me.
Questions from Mr. Osborne?
Yeah, the Heinley Building, the city sign right there. I thought we got all the weeds out of there, but the weeds are growing over the side. I don't know if you saw that. Did you look at it?
Yeah, we went and worked on that, I think it was Friday, and we also sprayed those bunch of thorns in the riders. So we
Yeah, and then it's got the fake stuff in there too with the rocks. If you go over there, I'd like to go over there too and just show you something. Okay, we'll talk. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Osborne?
Yeah, is your group the responsible group for the old park that kind of handles the cleanup and the cutting of all that? It's really overgrown. Yeah, I mean, I know we're not using it, but it's starting.
Yeah, we are responsible for it. It doesn't look like anything's been maintained since I've been out since June.
Yeah.
I don't know why it wasn't maintained, anything, but grass is very, very high. At all the facilities, we're having to cut. We cut the new side, we cut the ballpark, the newer side. We cut it 2 times in one day, and then had to turn around the next day and cut it again. It's just, I don't know, it just wasn't.
I'm just concerned about rodents
the help from
in particular.
the inmates?
We've had the inmate crew come over like 6 times, but sometimes you don't really get the work that you need from
We're
them.
having another problem with inmates that we need to discuss. Also, we just added the executive session.
Right, well, there's no sense in them doing anything right now because they're gonna be moving both swing sets and they're gonna have to take the fence out and shrubbery out and stuff like that. So, but as soon as that is, then they can get rid of all the old equipment and then cut the stuff down.
Well, and that makes sense, but what happens when snakes and rodents move in there because it's all,
Well, we will get it cut. So, like I've said before, I've just got released from desk work to go back. So we've been outside cutting. We started last week, whenever I was able to start getting outside.
I just didn't know who was responsible.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Osborne? Bathrooms, where are we at on the bathrooms?
Well, we're gonna try to have it on the next the next council meeting. It looks like we're gonna have to try to bid out the ones for McCumber. We reached out to 4 different contractors. We got a response from one, and it was over the price that we needed. So we're gonna have to bid that out, it looks like.
And I think for the time being, we have closed the bathrooms on the old side. Yes. So that nobody goes in and gets hurt or anything.
Yes, thank you. But I'll be sending all of y'all a video. The new side, so that people can use the new side over the weekend. We're gonna have to lock those in. We're just gonna have to lock the restrooms all together when the staff's not there. Door got tore off the hinges. They took all the toilet paper and just cut it up and threw it everywhere and wet it and threw it into the ceiling, I got a video to send y'all. So it's,
You guys aren't there when the tournament's going on?
yeah, we're there, but there was no tournament or anything. This
Oh,
is
they're not
just,
locked?
well, when people have practices and stuff, sometimes, and plus we try to leave it open because we've tried that before, locking the restrooms, and the people will call and complain. We get a lot of complaints because when they go out there just to do stuff on the ball field, or people come out there to use the park and stuff, they had nowhere for the little ones to go to the restrooms. And
Let me ask, and this may sound, I don't know if it's a reasonable response, but we don't have any porta potties out there, do we?
not at the,
So should we put some out there? And for those occasions when we feel like we need to lock up our restrooms to protect them?
I think that would be a good idea to put one or two porta potties out there. And we can put them over near the playground, where the little small building is at. And have them over there, so when we're not there on the weekends, then.
I think it might be better, because if we're gonna get the porta potties, we need to get them cleaned out regular, so they should probably go somewhere where the truck can come in and.
Yeah, that would be access right there.
Yeah,
They go
they could
through
drive
there,
right to it.
yeah, right there, and then they got plenty of room to turn around, and drive right back out.
You just go behind.
So maybe that would at least give someone an option instead of them being able to say, there's no restrooms out there. I mean, we gotta protect those things somehow, some way. This can't continue like this.
But do we have cameras that
Yeah,
could have
cameras.
caught that? Who was the last ones in there?
But then you can't prove that those people were the ones who did it, just because.
Yeah, but I would say.
I know what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Your team was practicing on this field, your whole team is responsible for it.
Tough to enforce, but.
I don't care, I'd call them out on it. I'd call them out on it.
Are there cameras there? Are there cameras out there, working cameras?
Not working.
Not right now.
Get new ones.
Okay, can we make that a priority for the IT guy and Mike to get that done like ASAP?
Especially the restroom building.
So I can give you guys kind of an update on the process. One of the issues out there is wireless service. There's not a good Wi-Fi or wireless like cell phone, cell data or anything. So Aaron is working now to figure out how to get hard wires to those concession stands, which will allow the cameras to be placed in different places. So that is actually already in the works.
When y'all talk about the porta potty thing, I mean, I know that's not ideal, but it's an alternative to getting our restrooms torn apart.
It is.
So we're providing at least some option instead of shutting it down.
And on the
And
bidding,
talk to all the coaches.
bidding process, is there any way the construction companies are making vandal proof?
Yeah, we wish.
It's almost like you're gonna have to build a restroom like the jails, where there's hardly nothing there, it's just the basics.
They'll tear that up too,
Yeah,
Ben.
they probably will probably come in.
This generation blows me away.
They can tear up a crowbar.
Yeah. See what they can do for something like that, since we are having so much problems.
I get all the kids in juvenile court that are doing this, and the biggest problem I've had is you all are asking for restitution. The people who come forward before me don't even have figures as far as restitution goes. So I cannot order restitution because whenever these people are walking in front of me, you have to be able to prove it up, and they're not doing it. So these juveniles and their families could be helping to pay. Mostly it's been breaking into that concession stand, which they seem to, it's like, flies to the mat there, the honey. But if you guys can get the people to show up in court, I can order restitution, but I can't without somebody coming in and being prepared. So I think that may stop it a little bit too. Because right now, they're not accountable.
Right.
I mean, they get probation or something else, but they need to start paying for what they're damaging. So that's just something to think about to get this paid. Because right now, you guys are zero.
So we would need someone from the city to have an estimate to appear
Yes.
before the court.
And not just one estimate, I mean, it has to be, because I've had some where it's like, well, we think it's gonna be this much. Well, I mean, under the law, I can't order restitution on that. So,
How are we notified that these individuals are coming before you?
the department the police department should be aware of the dates.
Lieutenant, can you add anything to that?
I can provide you, there's 2 days a month that we have DJJ, and they would be involved in those dates.
Sure, it's simple on our end. If we make an arrest out there, we try to get with the rec department, get a value of what was damaged, and attach that to the incident report. We can have the investigator go to juvenile court to explain that.
So at this point, you're not really able to get any restitution on any of the things
Not
that
under
come
law,
before
no.
you?
No.
Well, we're
Mike,
gonna-
is that something you can
Yeah.
get involved in in coordination with our police department?
All we need is a number to present to the court.
All right, so that's good information. I appreciate that. I
It would
mean,
be helpful
you know,
because,
we can lock up everything, but there are other steps that we can take too, and if that's one of them, you know, there's got to be some penalty involved in these acts, especially when we catch them. It's hard to catch them, but when we do, there's got to be some penalty involved.
and there's been video that's actually very clear. I mean, the ones that I've seen are very, very clear, which is unusual, but
All right,
you can identify these kids pretty easily.
all right,
And I don't know if you guys put in no trespassing after that either,
yeah.
to keep them off of those fields and out of that area.
Okay.
But,
You guys, can you all step up on this and let's see if we can,
and I can provide you the dates through 2024.
Sure, I can meet with Mike and his team, we can do some
sure,
target hardening, some
okay,
site preparation for full access.
yeah, all right.
They're just bored and they just don't have anything, and they just don't really care.
Well, we're gonna hold them accountable.
Well,
And the parents don't care that much either, so.
thank you for that
That's part of it.
information, Ms. Calhoun, and thank you for whatever you're going to do in the future to help with this. All right, Public Works, Mr. Bowles.
Submitted a report, ready for any questions.
Any questions from Mr. Bowles?
You'll tell them about the Ninth Street closing?
I ain't got a verified date on it yet.
So we'll get with you guys. We do know that Parker's is gonna close Ninth Street to do their building and paving. It could be this week. We'll let you guys know the impacts of that. So
Just a one night thing or a
It
couple
may
hours?
be 2 days. They're doing milling and paving, but we're pushing them to minimize any impact. So we're just.
They want to do it from 9 AM to 4 PM, but
Oh, that's a
told them that's not gonna happen.
non-starter right there. They need to do it at night.
Can we make sure that they get detour signs up? Because
Yeah,
a
or
lot
detour.
of people use that Ninth Street. They're gonna have to come back up Carolina to get around it. So to get some detour signs up.
we tell them 4 o'clock during the day is out of the question because then you got all the
School
school
buses.
buses.
Yep.
And the morning hours can't be too early for the same reason.
9 o'clock, the school buses are already running.
Right.
Preferably Saturday, maybe would be a good day because it's a little better. But
They won't pay all that overtime.
I know they don't, but
Saturday's busy as heck too.
They got the money.
Ninth Street's not bad.
Good Lord, they got the money.
So we'll keep you, we'll give you guys definitive.
Yeah.
We will get calls, I'm sure.
Any other questions from Mr. Bowles? I think you had a report from the wastewater department that was sent out. Finance, Ms. Cartwright, I know that for the last 2 weeks you've been in Hawaii, you've been working on that budget real hard, so, beach work.
Yeah, beach work.
What else do you have to report?
We have a new employee starting tomorrow as a utility clerk. Her name's Laura Cribbs. So please come out and greet her.
What's the name again?
Laura Cribbs. Other than
Any questions from Ms. Cartwright? All right, and I think you had a report from the golf course from Mr. Bessinger. and he was unable to be here tonight. Anything from council?
Mr. Lynn, do you know if he got that, I know that he's not here, but did he get that head replaced? Has it come in?
I think it's been ordered, I don't believe it's come in.
Can you find out, and let's put a rush on that.
Yes, sir.
If we can.
Will do.
Yes, beautification is gonna, promote the pumpkin fall decoration again with the businesses, just like we used to years ago. We're gonna try and bring that back and get the community back into it.
Enjoy those.
Yeah. So I'll keep y'all updated on that.
Anything from other council members?
I was, trunk or treat is happening this year, Mr. Osborne?
It will be the, yes, we went over that date, me and staff. It will be the third weekend of October.
Got a question on 7th Street. Any movement on 7th Street at all? I know our city engineer's not here, but anything new on that?
For the utility easements?
Yes.
Yes, we're starting to put together the letters for those. There are 15 easements that we're gonna need, so we're gonna do it similar to 9th Street where we're gonna request the easement first, and see where it goes. So, and then with the 9th Street ones, we sent out, we only had 4 easements there. We received 2 back, and we're following back up with the other 2. 2 back saying that yes, they would give us the easement.
Thank you.
And 7, the project is out to bid as well, so these things are running. 7th Street is out to bid as well as 9th Street to coordinate everything at once, to not delay it.
Thank you.
Anything else from council members?
We did put the golf course out to bid. 5 painters said they were gonna show up and 1 showed up. So we're gonna run it again because it was the unreal price.
And they're doing it
Too
because
high.
they know everybody's running now.
Which we have to wait for yeah, he did, but he didn't submit some. He gave us a quote, but he didn't submit it. I asked him to submit it, we talked to him. But the outdoor wood, what's it called, pressure treated wood has to dry anyway. So, we still got time, so.
I had just one other thing I wanted to make council members aware. The regional commission meeting is this Wednesday at 10 o'clock in Richmond Hill. John Burns, Speaker of the House, will be the speaker there. So if any council members would like to attend, I'm sure John will be glad to see you there. That'll be Wednesday at 10 o'clock in Richmond Hill. Is there anything else to come before us? Okay, I heard someone say we had a need for an executive session, so I will entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell to go into executive session. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
Jamie.
So now that they've done